Oh, thank you so much for that question. I just missed out. This is also another PowerPoint presentation. I'll just zip you through the photos because we went all the way to 1992, 2003, 2004, when the heat of the conflict was taking place. So we're talking about genocide, what it is. 2006. Oh, this guy, I need to show you this photo. This is Abdal Mahmoud Abdalain Mohammed. This is like the Joker. This guy really denies anything going on in Darfur. He says that there were probably 10,000 people killed there, and that the Sudanese government can take care of their issues, and that nobody should. Look, he's unbelievable. That's just the best thing I have for him. But very recently, obviously, we have a change of, we have a lot of relevant issues recently. That guy in the top is Omar al-Bashir, and the guy below him is Luis Moreno Ocampo, who is the chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, a court which, by the way, the United States has not joined, something that you should lobby for, or could lobby for. I should not say should, you can do what you want in that. It's an international criminal court, which means that crimes against humanity and war will be tried in front of judges from all over the world in The Hague, that lovely country next to my city of Buda. Omar al-Bashir has the pleasure of being the first ruling leader or president of a state to be called. So, when he goes to a country that has signed the agreements, he was going to come to Uganda for conference, but Uganda was at that moment the chair of the Security Council, and they signed this agreement, the ICC. So if he would have come, he would have been arrested and been taken to The Hague. That would be special law. Anyway, that's what happened. The Chinese, we're always criticizing the Chinese. This is the first time in history they made a special envoy to a country to talk about human rights. His name is Liu Gujin. Can't pronounce it. But for their way, behind the screens, they have put pressure on Sudan. Your vice president has spoken out very, very sharply on Darfur. And your president has promised to take on from day one. Well, I don't think day one is here anymore, and I don't think he's done a lot but send a guy who talks about cookies. Oh, that's a gross stereotype of a great leader like Gratian, General Gratian. But things are happening. There's tents, demonstration going, tents of hope. I wish you could see where I'm going next. I'm going to Boise after Minneapolis, and I will see the tents of hope. They reflect genocides in the world, not one, but the many that have happened. And people go and talk about what's going on there. No, he was his issue warranted in March. And as a response, you know what you do? You kick out all the 13 biggest major NGOs in Sudan, including the one I worked for, International Rescue Committee. And then you say the Sudanese will take care of issues. Well, those are the ones that perpetrated the crimes. Even if I don't have a right, I'm not a lawyer to call it a genocide. I will call it a genocide. But then you, on top of that, you kick out MSF, Doctors Without Borders, IRC, and you say, you know what, go home. Those 2 million people don't need aid. We can do it. Aren't you trying to kill them in the first place? Well, Ban Ki-moon meets. It's a sad crisis with a serious face. I wish I could take the man on the left serious. He doesn't seem to make a very strong impression on me. I hope they take a more forceful person, woman, preferably next, that does care about the world. This gentleman is now your special envoy. Good he speaks Swahili, too bad that he is appeasement warrior. So, keep on talking down the conflict. It's true, the intensity of the conflict has diminished, but that does not mean that people are not living in a refugee camp. I wish Scott Gratian to live in a tent for a week and tell him that he can wash himself with a gallon of water a day and eat the same bloody food 7 days a week. And have his wife being raped. Well, you don't wish that to anyone, but at least putting at the risk of that happening to him every single day when she collects firewood. See if he talks the same. They need cookies. Or maybe it was taken out of context, but I don't think that's mature talk for a politician that is in such an important position. This was only 5 days ago. Kids, countries, they react to gold stars, smiley faces, handshakes, agreements, talk, engagements. We got to think about giving out cookies. Well, Scott Gratian, eat your own cookie. You see, this is why we need people like the Genocide Intervention Network to speak out and make fun of this statement. They went to the Sudanese ambassador and gave him a cookie and a gold star and a goldy smile. You know, we should not become so serious that despite the horrible things happening that we don't have our sense of humor. Because the Zagawa people, I call this talk resilience, humor and dignity. That's all they do. They laugh. They have a ball. Unfortunately, in October, we're still having, well, 300,000 people according to the UN. 2.7 million people on the run. This is the biggest number of refugees in the world. Sudan has about 6 million. Instead of 26,000 peacekeepers, which we've been talking about for 5 years now, we only have 18,000. They do not have tanks, they do not have helicopters. Please, 50s of these brave boys got killed because they did not have protection, because we don't care enough about them. Omar al-Bashir has been indicted. 3.5 million rely on humanitarian aid. And the 13 biggest organizations that are slightly critical of Sudan are being kicked out. So what do? You can contact your representative, being a Republican or a Libertarian or a Democrat. Talk about Darfur. Take these phone numbers and call them. You know that one phone call to a senator makes a huge impact? You know that 10 phone calls is a major point on an agenda of a politician? If you could arrange 50 phone calls, that means that this is a major headache for one of your representatives. That's your phone democracy. If you want something, contact your senator. Do not think that you don't make a difference. I've talked, I was in a car with a state senator today, and she told me this. It matters what my constituency says. If they call me, I have to respond. Still, today, a couple of days ago, I believe 7 men got killed. Women are still being raped. Here's what they do with the money. Whatever the Michigan Darfur Coalition raises, they try to rebuild a school, they try to rebuild a well. And it's done. I don't know Father Patrick Samway, but I agree that the only thing that will make a change is that when we have a spiritual change of heart about what's going on. You see, this is what they need. They need education. We don't want to see this anymore in the world. We still need to be alert to what's going on. Who does not learn from history is doomed to repeat it. The French say l'histoire se répète, history repeats. But why can't we for once learn something? It's good to be stubborn. It's also silly. Oh, look here, Abraham Lincoln. Today, even here, we have the power and bear the responsibility. Can't agree more with Abe. Or the Bible, Leviticus. Thou shalt not stand idly by the shedding of the blood of thy fellow man. And there they are. Thank you. Sure.